All right, folks, we are back. We are in my basement fish room. Thought it'd be a nice little backdrop to do this video. So what I want to cover today, I want to continue off from the previous video that I just posted, and we're going to talk about why exactly I believe what you're seeing happening in Minneapolis and around the country with all the rioting and looting, that there is a strategic effort to push this agenda, that there's fuckery at foot, is basically what I'm saying. And you can see it in these videos where you'll see one in particular of this white gentleman who's dressed in full black with a black umbrella, and he's smashing out windows in businesses and stuff like that. And what I have found in following these protest movement for over a decade, physically being at some of them, getting to witness it myself, is what the police will do. It's a common tactic that police or authoritarian governments all around the world, not just in Canada, not just United States, we're talking about in Israel, we're talking about in Gaza, the Middle East. This is a strategy that governments have been using for a long time as a way to deter the movement and to make the movement seem like a bad thing and try to get the public's perception of it to be negative and try to get people more or less likely to want to defend those protesters. So what they do, it's very simple. It's a good strategy too, and it works. So you got a group of a couple thousand people out there peacefully protesting George's death, killed by the officer. Everything's going swell. Everyone's peaceful. Things are working out well. The media's getting there. It's starting to get media attention. People are getting pissed off at the cops for killing people all the time. And while the police and the powers that be, well, they can't have that, because you know what? It's the police who are the soldiers that enforce all their laws and all their corruption. So they can't have the people getting upset at their enforcers. They got to keep them in check. So what is the strategy that they use and have been using forever is they send in agent provocateurs. This has been documented many times, including here in my local city of Toronto. Just look at that in the G8 protests back in the day. Just go and Google agent provocateurs caught. There was a group of, 20, 30, 40 undercover officers that got caught wearing all black, wearing all the same attire, wearing same military style boots. And they would go around and they would go into these peaceful protest groups and they would start to stir shit up. Okay, they're undercover officers, and because they're undercover officers, they know that, hey, if they got arrested or if other officers came in and started to attack them or started to stop what they were doing, that they're wearing the similar kind of attire to kind of give those officers the know that, hey, these are actually our guys, so be careful. Or once they did get taken to jail, they'd be able to let them know, oh, these guys were actually undercover officers working an op for us, so release them. Now, why they do this, very simple. It's a way to make the protest movement seem like a bad thing. So that's what they did, I believe, 100%. It's going to come out. Mark my words. You're going to see it, and you're starting to see the videos come out now. Whether it's George Soros or all these high, wealthy, elitist people, and we call them the deep state. That's what they are. They're the people who are the shadow government, the deep state. People are very knowledgeable about these people now. We're aware of them. Well, that's what they do. They hire these individuals to go in there, to go into the peaceful protest movements and start smashing out windows and start burning stuff down. And because humans, we're human, we're fallible, we make mistakes, and a lot of us are followers rather than leaders. So there's obviously people in the crowd of protesters who are opportunists. I'm not saying that everyone you see running into the target is an agent provocateur. But if they get one guy who runs up to that target and smashes the first window open, maybe that guy's an undercover cop. Most of the times, because of humans, how we act, we're a follower, we kind of see what monkey see, monkey do. Then you get the opportunists behind that police provocateur who then go and start smashing out the windows too, and then it just builds on itself. And then you get a couple more undercover officers that go in later maybe and now throw a couple things down to try and burn the building. Other people see that, jump onto it, and then before you know it, the whole target's burnt down because a couple, maybe 2, 3, even sometimes even less, maybe just an individual police provocateur, a couple agents snuck through the crowds and anonymously dressed all black like these guys usually do and started all this stuff. And I believe 100% that's what you're seeing right now going across the nation. And protesters, please watch out for these people. when you're at documenting these protests, make sure to try to capture. I know they're not going to want you to capture it because you're capturing people who commit crimes. So obviously those people, be careful when you're doing that. But be careful and try to document these people who are initiating these burnings and then initiating the first of the window breakings. Because I guarantee 9 times out of 10, it's probably undercover cop, police provocateur trying to ruin the peaceful movement. Now, this strategy's been used forever. And it's an effective strategy. And what did it accomplish? Well, now, overnight, you have half the country now divided who are no longer, in support of what's going on down there. We all support the fact that we want justice for George. But now you're starting to divide the nation racially. And you got the news now jumping on it, trying to stir up racism. And it was all done strategically. Because also look at the timing of things, okay? COVID just happened. Currently, as I'm talking right now, we're still in a pandemic. But what's fascinating is COVID, the facts are starting to come out now. People were realizing that, hey, the WHO, they made mistakes. They said this and that. It came out later on that wasn't right. They said, oh, you need masks. Now they're like, you don't need masks. First, they're like, hey, if basically you're in the vicinity of someone, you're guaranteed to catch this thing. Now they're like, maybe it's not that contagious. Then there were like millions of people are going to die. Oh my God, COVID, shut the whole world down. It's a pandemic. It's crazy. And now we're starting to find out that, it's really only 80% of the deaths have been in old folks' homes and old nursing homes, which usually has people in them who have serious health conditions and who, no offense, are on death's bed basically anyway. I'm not saying that that's right. I feel sorry for all the families that lost their loved ones. It's a tragedy. And, my sympathies go out to all those people. But the point is that majority of the deaths coming from COVID right now are people who have very weakened immunities, and the percentage and chance of you as an individual, as a younger person, dying from COVID is very slim. So the point is, people were waking up to that. People were getting less trusting in the WHO and the facts, and people were starting to come out into the street. This is why you've seen the Michigan protests. This is why you started to see people coming out into the street and protesting against the lockdown. People wanted to go back to work. The economy was being affected. People were sick and tired of it. So the COVID, I call it the fake COVID, but it's not that the disease is fake, but the scare behind it, getting you guys all riled up to thinking that this thing was just going to kill everyone on the planet when it wasn't. Once people realized that wasn't the truth, and the numbers were in, people got frustrated and they started coming out into the street and they were demanding that their businesses be open. Well, what's the government do? Because I'm of the belief too, and we'll get into that in another video, that this whole COVID thing was also had some fuckery in it as well. Okay, that, this thing I think came out of a lab, and it leaked out of a lab. On purpose or not, I don't know. We'll get into that in another video. But it's just so funny that as COVID, the fake COVID, is coming to an end, people are going outside, people are enjoying themselves, people are not believing the bullshit anymore. They're going outside, getting the vitamin D. They're not scared of the virus. Boom, overnight race riots. Now, you got one thing about the media. The media, look at the media as basically a giant spotlight, a giant light. And wherever they focus their attention, there's going to be outrage. And that's what the media is very good at doing. So you could find, on my Facebook feed alone, for years you could find black people being murdered by the police. So why last night or last week is it all of a sudden the tipping point issue? It's a tipping point issue because the media has designed it that way. Because the media has been feeding the fuels of racism and divide. And they've been trying to stir up these riots for a while now. We've seen it. We've seen it how they cover these protesters. Antifa can get away with whatever they want. But a conservative Trump protester does something wrong. We've seen it. We knew it was going to happen. So it's just funny to me that as the COVID fakery starts to come to an end, and people are starting to come out of their house and protest all that, is around the exact same time that you also see these riots all erupt. So I think it was strategic. I think the media basically shunned their big spotlight over the George story at that strategic time that right now everyone's dealing with racial issues and rioting, and it's all of it. COVID, Russiagate, these riots, everything is going to be designed to affect the 2020 election in the United States. It's all designed in that because they know that, hey, they almost had Hillary in, and then Trump slipped through the cracks and got in, and he started turning back some of their programs that they were trying to get passed. As much as we can bash on Trump, he has stopped their agenda in many ways. They wanted more of your guns taken away. They want more domestic spying. They want more wars. They want to meddle in the Middle East more. And in some of their ways, Trump is on their agenda and has promoted their agenda, but there are other things that he differs with them on and has held them back, the deep state's agenda. And it pissed them off, and they tried to come after him. That's what the insurance policy was, and all this, and the framing of him, and all the stuff that's going on right now. So they know it's vital that they must get someone in of their own deep state status, someone on their payroll in the 2020 election. That's why you also seen it robbed from Bernie. Even the people like the on the far left, who are the Bernie bros, who are the Trump haters, who are all Bernie. Man, the DNC stole it from Bernie. Everyone knows that. Even this election with Joe Biden right now, it should have went to Bernie. It should have been probably Bernie and Trump running in the election in 2020. But somehow it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the best they could come up with. No, Joe Biden is a puppet. Oh, Joe Biden was the deep state. Joe Biden was the vice president for Obama. So it has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It has to do with all the shadow men that pull the strings of Joe Biden. It has to do with, we need to get our guy in, because if we don't, there's a chance that Trump could uncover all the corruption and crimes that we committed. So that's why there's so much fuckery at foot, because there's so much at stake for these people. If they get caught, they could go to jail, or worse. A lot of things that they've done is treason, and treason in the United States, a lot of ways, is the death penalty. So there's a lot at stake. So when you push someone in the corner, like these deep staters, and their options are, listen, either we accept loss and go to jail or worse, or we come out swinging. Of course they're coming out swinging. That's why they're throwing everything they have at us right now. Russia collusion, COVID leaked out of a Wuhan lab virus to try to stifle everyone's rights and destroy small businesses. Oh shit, that's not working. People are coming out to the street now and seeing through it. Bam, stir up race riots, put that media spotlight over George and cover George getting choked out by the police nonstop. Run it on replay, stir up division. And now it's all going to be about race division and rioting now leading up to the election. And you watch, they're going to try to mess with the election. There will be voter fraud. That's going to be tried. We are already seeing it being tried with the mail-in ballots. Come on, you think you can honestly trust your government and you're just going to send in a piece of paper and you're going to make sure that it's going to be actually your vote when it gets to the place it's supposed to go? Come on, we know there's too much at stake. Wake up, people. So that is what is going on. Agent provocateurs for sure are playing a key role in what's happening around the nation right now, and keep an eye out for it. Watch for them. Watch for their markings, whether it's white ribbons around their arms we see, whether it's all dressing in black. Just pay close attention to what's going on, please. It's very important, and don't fall for it. Martin Luther King was so successful the way he was because, there's the famous photos of all the black protesters linking arms and walking through the streets peacefully. That's how you're going to get change. Everyone around the nation supports you, and we want justice for George. And we're going to achieve that by doing it peacefully. There's a time for violence, and it's not right now, especially when the violence is being stirred up and manipulated. These black people are being manipulated. That's what's happening. And this also, I want to finish on this note. This does not mean everyone. This is another thing, too. I want to clarify. 99% of the people protesting in all these places, black, white, Asian, among all races, are peaceful and great human beings doing good God's work. But unfortunately, like I say, you get these opportunists mixed with provocateurs that ruin it for the rest of them. I see people many times in these videos saying, don't go smash that window. Black people telling other black people, don't do that. So there's a divide. We're seeing it. They're trying to divide us, divide and conquer. That's a common tactic used throughout generations of warfare, and it's being used right now. So, the governments of the past, they got smart. They realized you can't just roll up on a beach with tanks and soldiers anymore and attack a nation and take their rights and freedoms and enslave the people, because, it's too in your face. People will see it and will revolt it. So they have gotten smarter. They have adapted tactics that go on through the middle of the night, through propaganda, through media manipulation, and all these other tactics that they use now to try to stifle your rights. They're not using the old tactics anymore. That's old school. They learned from Hitler. Hitler got you know, what do you do? Shoot himself in the bunker? They're too smart for that now. So they're like, we're going to use propaganda. We're going to make you accept your slavery. That's how they do it now. So stay tuned for the more videos to come. Stay tuned.